Given that the large bulk of what I cover on this channel is mecha, it's always fun to see interesting combinations of the genre with other things. The basic idea being that if chocolate and peanut butter work so well together, what else does chocolate work well with? In this case, the chocolate is mecha. Hey, screw you, it's Halloween season, I have candy on the brain. Don't give me that look, Melvin. Anyway, in the spirit of my favorite holiday, I want to talk about a combination that we don't really see much of. Mecha and horror. Specifically, we're going to talk about 4 of my recommendations if you're looking for a good combination of the two, plus one that I know that if I don't mention, you all will crucify me.
It's not possible. Listen, if there's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life will not be contained. Life breaks free, it expands to new territories, and it crashes through barriers painfully, maybe even dangerously, but...
So this is one that I have to mention to avoid the same fate as anyone who runs afoul of Caesar's Legion whenever you play Fallout New Vegas. On its surface, Space Runaway Ideon really doesn't come across as particularly horrifying. Created by Gundam creator Yoshiyuki Tamino, Ideon has the sort of art style and presentation you would expect out of a mecha anime of the 1980s. All the way down to the main character being a ginger with a substantial afro. Even the Ideon itself isn't really that great of a design when it comes to mechs, coming across like the Federation from Gundam made their own version of Optimus Prime. Then you hear the robot actually fucking scream. I can't really go into detail because I haven't taken the time to finish the series yet. I've admittedly been hooked on the Dark Imperium audiobooks lately, but there's a hidden element to the series that you see more of as it goes on. On its surface, Ideon basically is the most violent space opera mecha ever, which one would expect from our holy patron, Saint Tamino. Beneath the surface, though, is the Ideon itself. I don't know all the details, but the basic idea seems to be that the Ideon itself is an eldritch being that is both passing judgment on both humans of the Buff Clan, but also influencing the war itself. I'll do a full video on the series when I finish it, but when I do, we'll go into more detail. Either way, I'd be remiss not giving it a quick mention. Now, on to the other suggestions.
The Purgathon is on, and we're killing bugs, and the occasional disgruntled former employee.
So, not so fun story about this anime. This show has an absolute banger of an English opening, sang by a lady named Brandy Evans McComb. She has a beautiful voice, and it honestly sounds fantastic. It's a great hook for the show, makes you just want to sit down and watch. Funimation fucked her out of royalties, and she's never been credited for it. Just a reminder that every L that Funimation and its staff has taken over the last decade is completely and totally deserved. Anyway, on to the non-corporate horror. Blue Gender is an anime that stars a character named Yuji Kaido as he's put into cryogenic stasis, hoping for a cure for a rare disease that he has will be found in the future. When he wakes up, he finds that bugs are eating everyone. So that's awesome. Well, I guess if you're a Tyrannid fan, it is. He's saved by a young woman named Marlene Angel, who has one of the most unique haircuts that I've ever seen in anime, and then she fills him in that he's in the future now, and the people who fled the Earth into space are trying to find people who went into cryostasis from this disease. What follows next is several episodes of blood, gore, and some very fucked up and depressing situations. If there's one thing that I adore this show for, it's that there is a lingering hopelessness throughout all of it. A lot of people that our main characters interact with act like the Walking Dead, really only truly living for the next moment, the next breath, essentially. The bugs themselves are absolutely merciless, and there's not a single character in this entire show that dies well. It obviously takes inspiration from Starship Troopers, but don't expect any humanity fuck yeah moments in this. It's a very nihilistic show. Overall, it's really tense as well, and it's just great sci-fi horror, so don't really go expecting anything supernatural, but it's got giant robots, it's got bugs, and it's got tension for days, so I recommend it. Like the rest of these shows, I'll do a full review someday in the future, but for now, if you want some good sci-fi horror for Halloween, this is a good one. Yeah, I hope you weren't looking forward to eating anything during this session. Sort of like Blue Gender, we're dealing with an invasion, but these creatures aren't really bugs. They're called the Beta, but before you ask, they're not a bunch of clones of iDubbbz. The Beta are these, well, you're seeing them on the screen right now. They're just these. They're these creepy monsters that come across like half bug and half mammal, and these big bastards eat just about anything in front of them. Organic and inorganic materials are up for grabs. The story is set in an alternate history where these things invaded during the Cold War, and everyone's got to put their international squabbles on the back burner and try to drive these things back. This shows a bit of an interesting contrast to Blue Gender. Blue Gender's more of a horror show that has mecha elements. This is more of a mecha military drama with horror elements. Thing is, when those horror elements come in, they come in hard. With Total Eclipse, this is a show where you see the depths of it pretty early. To be specific, the second episode of the show is a really intense battle where line after line of mechs just drop to these beasts. Then, at the end of the episode, you see what happens to pilots who get caught by these things, and if you find the Blu-ray, you'll see that it's really grisly. This combination really makes every military engagement feel harrowing. Every time that the humans lose ground, you know exactly what's happening to them. If there's a downside to the show, it's that it has such a majorly intense opening, and then it really slows it down shortly afterwards. From there, it turns into a military drama, but then goes back into the bug killing. Even so, it's a fun time if you're looking for something of this genre. Before we continue, if you are enjoying this video, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We do mecha stuff all the time here, and if you enjoy mecha as a genre, you'll enjoy what I got to offer. Plus, we talk Gundam lore, we talk a little bit of Warhammer on occasion, so on and so forth. You'll have fun. Anyway, on to the next section.
I know, but it's such a shame he had to become autistic. He was just too young.
So, I know for a fact that a lot of people have been wanting me to talk about Getter Robo, and I've admittedly been putting it off. The thing is, I'm not going to go that in-depth today, just give a recommendation. However, what I'm recommending is my favorite piece of Getter media by a fucking country mile. Getter Robo Armageddon is best described as being fucking nuts, but in a good way. Granted, you can say the same about anything Getter Robo. Armageddon specifically is an OVA released back in 1999, and is an independent story from Ken Ishikawa's work. The first few episodes are directed by the same guy who directed G Gundam, Yasuhiro Imagawa, and the latter episodes by Jun Kawagoe, who would go on to direct Cyborg 009. The basic premise is that after a conflict called the Moon Wars, Getter 1's pilot and all-around awesome crazy man, Ryoma Nagare, was framed for the murder of Dr. Saotome, the creator of the Getter. When Saotome shows up alive with a new weapon called Shin Dragon years later, an absolute trip of an anime begins where the Getter pilots need to deal with a shape-shifting alien invasion. Now you're probably wondering where the horror comes in. Well, this particular anime is chock full of body horror set in a post-apocalyptic scenario. There are segments of this anime that come across like they're inspired by John Carpenter's The Thing, and they're fucking horrifying. Heck, there's a lot of scenes with this anime that have a fantastic tension to them, and it's perfectly intermixed with some great super robot action as well. The ending of the show is probably one of the coolest super robot versus alien fights ever. So overall, the show's a classic. There's a reason it's in so many Super Robot Wars games. If you're interested in a super robot show that's got body horror influence in it, alongside just not giving a single fuck when it comes to whether or not it's going to let off the gas, Getter Robo Armageddon is for you. Also, the English dub isn't good, but it has one of the hardest lines ever delivered by Ryoma.
I don't care about the universe as long as you die with it.
Go watch it. Getter Robo Armageddon is the shit. I don't care how much Melvin complains. Shut up, Melvin. I fucking love Evangelion. I've gone out of my way to get DVDs of the ADV dub of this anime, including End of Evangelion. This show is one of my favorite shows ever, not just anime. Hell, when I croak, I hope somebody lowers me into the ground to the tune of Kamsusur Todd. I think just about everyone knows the stakes when it comes to this show. Giant robots, created by Hideaki Anno, has the best girl in the show of Masato, being best girl simply by virtue of being legal age, and overall is considered the best deconstruction of the mecha genre in existence. And I would agree with that sentiment because it doesn't deconstruct mecha to try and poke fun at anything. Hideaki Anno loves mecha. He wouldn't have just agreed to do a Gundam show recently if he didn't. He did it to put a different spin on it, but it's really a love letter to it in many ways. It's not like it's written by a Marvel Comics writer from the last 15 years. It does things the way that it does so it can have a different take on the genre, and part of that take is taking influence from horror. On its surface, Evangelion is probably one of the best Monster of the Week mecha shows ever created, but as it goes on, it starts to include more horror beats, though there are subtle ones at the beginning too. Oddly enough, you'll actually recognize some of the cinematography homages from the human scenes if you're aware of a certain story written by William Peter Blatty. Yeah, there's some cinematography in the very first episode that is an homage to The Exorcist. Plus, it continues to influence the entire show alongside other surrealist horror like Altered States and Jacob's Ladder, but you have to be looking for them. If you're not familiar with those films, you're not going to see it. A lot of Evangelion's terror comes from ideas like possession and the supernatural, but also the horror of living in your own mind when your mind is beyond fucked. A good chunk of the show is examining the mental states of everyone involved, and given the circumstances, it takes you down some dark paths. If you want to see the apex of it, you need to watch End of Evangelion. A movie so dark, the fucking DVD menu tells you there's no goddamn hope for the future. This movie series basically replaces the final 2 episodes of the original show with a film that is gory, psychological, and apocalyptic. I don't really want to spoil what's going on during the course of it, so let me just say it's fantastic. I would also say that the Rebuild films kind of strip a bit of the horror elements from it, though they are still kind of present. So if you watch Rebuild, don't expect the same sort of absolute fucked up shit that you get from Evangelion proper. So that's my recommendations for Spooky Month when it comes to mecha. To be honest, there's not a lot of stuff to really recommend there. This particular mixing of genres isn't something that we see very often, but it would be something I'd like to see more of in the future. Also, I plan on doing reviews of each of these series at some point down the line, so do keep an eye out for that. Before we take off, don't forget that my merch store is now up, and we got a couple good shirts for you. Look at this Bernie's Burgers shirt. I am quite proud of it, cursed as it is. If you want to pick up this at my merch store along with the Vanilla Gorilla seal of approval, use the code BigMicahMerch to get free shipping on your order when you get both t-shirts. We're going to be running this promotion for a few more weeks, so now is the time to jump on. So, once again, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. My name is BigMicahC, your favorite Vanilla Gorilla, and I will see you all next time.